Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Friday night's edition of Paranormal Question of the Day. We'll be right back right after the short intro. And looky, we are back. So hopefully everybody's having a good Friday. No pun intended. Good Friday. Anyhow, tonight we have Mr. Nathaniel Henning on with us. So welcome to the show, Nathaniel.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. So for those of you who don't know who Nathaniel is, he is part of the Midwest Ghost Seekers team. He is our researcher, cameraman, and investigator.
That
So,
is correct.
and we'll wait for a few people to pop on. There's nobody in chat just of yet. So see who the first person is. Anyway.
Yeah.
So people can catch us on the rerun. And who do we got here?
Hello, Scott.
Mr. Scott Bowser. Welcome. And then we have Thomas Hunsaker. Welcome. And William Armstrong. Sir William, welcome. So for those that are new to this network here on BB3 TV and Paranormal Brew, this is the Paranormal Question of the Day. And so, Nathaniel, want to let people know who you are, and we'll break into the questions afterwards.
Well, my name is Nathaniel Henning. Currently, I live in Wautoma, Wisconsin, previously from Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Decided to move just to a different, smaller rural town, and I've been here about 5-6 years, and I've loved every minute of it.
Absolutely. So what was your first paranormal experience, and where was it at?
I'm going to have to say it was last year when I was down at Broadhead with another paranormal group. Towards the end of the night when they had the metaphysical down in Janesville, we were just sitting there in the gymnasium, just relaxing, and all of a sudden I heard this kid's laugh come from the locker room. I looked at Bill. Bill looked at me. He's like, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, "Yes, I think it came from the locker room." So we went in there, and previously I was in there, and I noticed a styrofoam head, like they would put wigs on, standing up. But after we went back in, after we heard the kids laugh, it was knocked over, and nobody was in there after me.
That's a good start of a paranormal experience. So nothing when you're a child or anything like that. Just right there, Broadhead, huh? First time.
Yep.
Wow.
That's correct.
And I'm not gonna date your age either. So that's pretty cool that it actually took this long, but you got that. And that's pretty cool when something like that happens. And I'm sure at first initial I was like, holy shit. What's this going?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is true.
And from there on, I heard through the grapevine that it's like, yeah, there's this guy that he really wants to be on a paranormal team and stuff like that. And hey, you should just give him a try. And Tom's not in yet, so Tom was telling me about you and stuff like that, and a few other people were telling me about you, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Let's get it fired up, and let's give you a tryout. And so your first paranormal experience, or not experience, investigation was at where was it at?
It was actually at the Wautoma Historical Society last year with the same group that I went down to Broadhead with last year.
Okay. Yeah, that's also a good start too. So, and what was your experience? Go ahead.
It was for the Valentine's Day event, just like you had this year. Okay. I had my daughter with. She went and investigated also, and I loved every minute of it.
Absolutely. So what was the your experience that you had at the museum at that Valentine's investigation? Hey, Lori.
Hey, Lori. He was in the jail part in Ed Gein's cell.
Okay.
and the K2 meter would not go off or would not stop going off. I mean, it pegged almost the whole entire time we were in there.
Right.
I had my cat ball go off quite a few times and went back with Aaron, and we tried to recreate it after we got done, and we could not get anything to move.
Interesting. And then you also had, let's see, and then you actually went to uh, the Valentine's investigation this year. So,
Correct.
what was your experiences this year?
Um,
Hey, Ron.
well, that was the one. That was the one from this year when I
Oh, that
when
was one for this year.
that was
Okay,
from this year.
I
Last
was,
year, not too much. I think there was a little bit more people there than what I thought would have been the right size groups.
mhm,
We didn't get too much. A couple hits here and there with Augusta, and that was about it.
okay, okay. So then the next investigation, actually, in that during that investigation, I actually trying to think. Oh, was it beforehand? I think it was beforehand. I had you come down to the uh Times Cinema in Oshkosh, correct? Or is
That was
that
yes.
afterward?
That was before the Valentine's Day event.
Right. Hey, Jing, she's from Indonesia, by the way.
Is
Uh and so with that investigation, that was a test, a very big test in the paranormal field. Um Small location. Uh to me was too many people in a small
yes.
location, which made it really hard because trying to do EVP sessions with other teams around that are doing their stuff made it really hard. Um, some people didn't like how others were talking out loud, which primarily me. I'm going to pin it on me because I did speak a little bit louder than normal. And in a theater like that, it does carry. So I have since learned to keep my voice down when I do in VVP sections.
Same with
So,
me as well.
but other than that, yeah. And from there, we had the investigation at the Watoma Valentine's investigation. And afterwards, comparing the way how well you did uh, at the theater and how well you did keeping your composure and everything else when you were investigating with Nick and Aaron at the museum, I thought, I don't need any more testing to feel you up because sometimes when we do paranormal teams searching for members, there's a feel out process,
Correct.
and to see what dynamics go with the team and stuff like that. And instantaneously, I thought that you really held your own, and I think that in the pace and the dynamics, I thought were fine. And I thought, you know what, let's just do it. And so at the end of that night, I did bring you onto the team, and so here we are. And like I said, I'm glad to have you on because you do a very good job of researching stuff. Do you want to give people the process of what you do during your researching?
I go when we did the Times Cinema Theater in Oshkosh. I physically went down to the Oshkosh Public Library and got a book called Oshkosh in Flames, I do believe it was called. And that goes back from 1875, the 5 or 6 major fires they had in the downtown area. And I picked and chose what sections to read, what to jot down. And I gave that information to Darren. And that's how we went through our investigation that night.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Thanks,
you've
Lori.
done, huh?
I said, thanks, Lori.
Right, absolutely. And you've I given you some other obstacles to, hey Matt, how you doing? Um and there's other locations I had you do researching on too as well, and you blew me away with a lot of stuff that you came up with, and which is very positive when it comes to a paranormal team when we go to locations and how ready we can be with the information that we need. And
Right.
sometimes it's surprising what some teams get and some teams don't. And that way we can feed off of each other. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
And so I mean, it's a really good positive thing, and then we have Scott, which is also our gear tech, and then he also is a researcher as well of at Gein, and which really helps with the museum as well, because he's got such a extensive background with that, with his 2 books and stuff. So, uh, so yeah, it makes a great addition because I could put you two together, and then you guys can search stuff up, and just as you see on Kindred Spirits, how they both go in the library and start studying out stuff.
Right.
So,
And I usually, once I do research, I don't stop researching until I think I have found just about everything possible on the location that we're going to investigate or just in the location in general.
mhm. um, and I do have you come in the Facebook Lives every once in a while, just so that way there's a location that you're not familiar with,
Yes.
to see how the team dynamics do on that page. That way you kinda get an idea, okay, this is what's going on at this location. Now, have you, taken any notes far as like, okay, this team is, calling out such and such person, or these are the people who are at this location? Have you taken notes on that at all?
That I haven't yet. That was my plan after I watched quite a few of them to kind of go back, rewatch them, and just jot down a little bit of notes here and there as I go through and watch them.
Right. And that helps a lot too because, their names sometimes won't be in a library. We just have to go off of other teams' investigations to say, "Okay, we're going to this spot. This team came up with these names. So let's try them out with our investigation and see what comes to truth."
Sure.
So, hey, Pam,
Thanks,
welcome.
man.
And Marsha's in here saying hi. And William says, we have a great team here. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so on the tab, I also have you as a cameraman. So, do you want to tell people about your cameraman work that you've done in the past and what we're uh going to be working on in the future wise?
Well, the first time I actually was the camera person was down at in Broadhead with the other paranormal group I went down there with, and I was in charge of following around either Patty NeGry or Natalie Jones. Well, at the time, I ended up just sticking with Natalie Jones, and some of the film that I did take of her was put onto Paraflakes.
Very sweet. And yeah, and that's good because now you're recognized for your camera work that you have done on there. Um, and what do you want to do forward? Is there a certain style that you want to do while we're investigating with the team and stuff like that? Is there a particular style or just kind of run and gun?
Uh, Run and gun for now, and then
Hmm.
as we kind of get into more investigations, we can kind of look at what we did in the past and see what we can't change in the future to make it better.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, we're never gonna get to be Netflix quality. Um,
Right.
that's just not gonna happen, folks, because we don't have 10 like $20,000 to spend on camera work. But um, it's catching the points where hey, we saw a door open, we have cat balls going off, or Scott's got some what else? He got me or not me. He got pendulums. Marsha got me pendulums. He's got pendulums. So we could do it up close as we're doing a pendulum session as
Sure.
to watch it go and stuff. So it's gonna be exciting. I can't wait to get stuff going. And I'll be doing the commercials for the museum as well to get that out there more. So, um, so other than that, so you want to tell the folks what kind of investigator that you are? Like, are you more EVP eccentric? Are you more electronic eccentric, or what's your kind of style? What you like?
I think I like to do a little bit of everything just to give everything a shot to see what works and what doesn't work.
So more or less like trial and error type deal.
Right.
Yeah. And experiment wise, yes. I mean, we do like doing experiments. And you've seen all the stuff that I've wanted to try. So we're gonna
Right.
try some stuff. Um, so what does the paranormal field mean to you personally?
I've actually, this is probably since I was mid teens, I've always been
There's cat.
kind of intrigued by the paranormal and what happens on the other side once a living spirit passes. Where does their other spirit go? And I've always been intrigued by that. I know I've had a lot of people, they always get scared of watching these like Jason and Freddy movies. Well, with me, I'm like, they're just people dressed up in costume. I want the real deal. I
Hmm.
want to be able to sit there and actually communicate with somebody that I don't know and try to get their feedback on what is on the other side.
And that's right. Laurie is right. Each location does demand different kinds of research. Absolutely. And far as like, okay, so if we go to a location, do you like to go in like cold and not know anything, or do you like to go in knowing a lot of stuff, like preconceived notations?
Um, Maybe a little bit of information would help just to kind of get things rolling and then go from wherever they take you and how
Right?
they respond.
Ghosts are scary. They can be. It can be if they get you at the right opportunity. They can be scary sometimes. um, and they do. They can make you laugh during EVP sessions as well. When you
Mhm.
have like like kind of like an app that you use. It's like an Ovilus that talks back to you what they're trying to say to you. You got some good one liners on there.
Thousand ghosts.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm getting better with the doll stuff, but ghosts, I'm always gonna be intrigued about everything else. And dolls, well, you can punt the shit out of them. But anyway, um, that's just how I feel. In fact, I think Felix is doing pretty well, making her home at the museum for a while. So who knows? Maybe I would change her up, put her in a different side of the upstairs, and see what happens. But so let's see here. Trying trying to think here what I wanted to ask you. So what is your favorite experiment you like to do, and what's the kind of experiment that you haven't tried yet that you want to try?
The experiment that I actually watched on a paranormal show I watched recently is there was a group of people in a circle and they had three people on the inside and they actually used themselves as like a human pendulum
Oh, okay.
where if the answer was yes, the person in the middle would get pushed forward. If the answer was no, the person would actually physically get pushed back. And the two other people were there just to catch the person in case they went back farther than they wanted to.
Oh, that's interesting. What
I
show did
thought,
you see that on? Oh, brain fart.
yeah, it was one that happened overseas. I think it was off of Paraflex that I
Okay.
watched it. I'd have
Okay.
to go back and take a look at that and see which episode that was.
Interesting. So that's the one you want to try. What have you tried that you like so far?
Probably the cat balls I like. The
Ah,
cat balls and I've used the Flux 2 before, and that I
right.
thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, the Flux 2 kind of threw me and Scott for a loop. Um I don't know, he ended up sending his back. Got most of his money back, or not. He didn't send it back. I'm sorry. He resold it on eBay and got most of his money back.
Sure.
That one there. So when we ask questions, it just feels like we're just not sure of um did a asking questions. It's like we ask one question, it pauses and it pauses and it does nothing, it goes off. And then you ask another question and then it goes off twice. And it's like, okay, so is it answering the previous question or is it answering the next question we just asked or what's it
Right.
doing? You know,
Exactly.
it was so confusing. What's the right height for it? Do we put it up on top of a shelf or do we put it on the floor? We just couldn't really pinpoint of where to put it, so to speak. Um, and I don't know. I think he and I both just didn't care for it too much. Um,
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, on what level to put it on. I know lower to the ground would be for like a kid's height, and higher up would be for like an adult height. And if you're not sure what you're dealing with, like you said, you have no idea what height to really put it at.
right, right. So he's actually coming up with a new system where he's got eggs, and he puts these lights in these eggs, and one is for red and one is green. And he saw it, I believe, on the Kindred Spirits that they did that. So it's going to be the kind of the same way as the Flux, but in a different kind of way that
Right.
I think it would be helpful, and I think a little bit more on key, hopefully.
Sure.
So, but other than that, yeah, that's the thing that we'll try. Is there any other favorite locations that you have been to, or is there newer locations that you want to try besides the ones that we have booked this year?
I would like to try to get up to the Karsten's Nest sometime this year.
Ah,
Investigate up there.
I hear there because we've been there once. Ah,
I do.
interesting. um, yeah, the Carson Nest it's an interesting place. Um, we were there last year in May, and it was quite a big crowd that was with us. And while we were investigating, it kind of just died off like 10:30, 11 o'clock. It was done. Like, and I'd like to go as long as I can till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning investigating before I drop down dead. But
Right.
that was just a little too early for me to just call it quits at 11 o'clock, 11:30. And so I tried to do something in the bedroom that we had that we rented out. Actually, was supposed to be one of the haunted rooms. And so I ended up setting up a camera overnight to see if anything happened while we were sleeping in the bed, and didn't catch nothing. So, but like I said, with the small group going over there, I think we'll do. It'll be a little bit easier to get paranormal activity moving up and going. Um, they did do well in the hallway with the little boy that was supposed to be that is there, and
Okay.
it rang off pretty good. But we couldn't really investigate that much in that hallway because there's people actually sleeping in those bedrooms.
Got
And when we tried, they opened the door and got all ticked off, like, "You're not supposed to be investigating right now." I'm like, we are on an investigation. you
right.
know, this is what we came here for. And it was interesting, but I digress. So, so is there a particular piece of paranormal equipment that you like to use?
Hmm. That's a good question. I've tried a little bit here and there. I really don't, as of this point, have a particular one that I like using the most. Granted, yes, I am fairly new at this,
Hmm.
and if once I get more investigations underneath my belt, I'll be able to pinpoint on which tool I like to use the best.
Right, right. have you seen anything out there that really has grabbed your eye that's like, I really want to get this, but it's like I cannot pull the trigger on this just yet.
Probably an SLS camera.
Okay. You'll have to work with Scott with his unless he took it back.
Okay.
Because he's got one and he was having trouble. He had it going on in the attic and then it would shut down on him. So but I think you two can work on that one really well. Oh
Yes, cat
yes.
will be.
Yeah. Yep. We'll both be there. Is scheduled to be there. Yep. See, Scott's got it. So you guys can work on that one together to see how you could play off of each other and get that one working. Because that would be pretty
Right.
cool once that gets up and going too. Um so yeah. Anything with tech wise, Scott can show you how that all this stuff works that he has, and we'll be trying a bunch of this new stuff. Well, ghost hunting gadgets are expensive. Um, and Nathaniel knows that how expensive they are.
They are.
Um,
I've got a few things. I've got a set of dowsing rods, 2 pendulums, a K2. I have a REM pod coming. I have a scare bear that was supposed to do the noise and music. They messed up, sent me the wrong one. So they sent the replacement one. So now that one works, but it's kind of set in the back, kind of different. I don't know. The actual antenna is just like a loop in its back. I don't know if
mhm,
that's supposed to be hidden inside the bear or if it's supposed to be outside the bear. So I'm trying to find out questions because it looks nothing like the first one I got.
right. And like Kat has just mentioned here, if you're not friends with Kat on Facebook, I highly doubt be friends with Kat on Facebook because she could definitely help you with a lot of stuff that you have questions with. I mean, if it's regarding research or anything like that,
Okay.
she can help you with a lot of stuff. So, um, but yeah, Boo Bears are interesting. I've seen most kids play with those, but REM Pod, yep, Scott's got a REM Pod. You'll have a REM Pod, which is good. So begs the difference that maybe I don't need to get one now.
Right.
So, but it's a good combination because with you guys getting the higher techy kind of toys, it's good because that allows me to go not as high tech and find different useful pieces of investigating tools to use. Um, like using balloons with lights in it, or um, a Newton's what do you call it? Oh, I forgot what that's called. Anyhow, it's with the balls that go back and forth, and it kind
Oh,
of
yeah. I know it. Yeah, I found it for you last on one of the other episodes. I found the name of it and I forget what it's called.
yeah, I forgot it too. My brain is kind of shot right now. It's been a long day. Um, Newton's
That's what
Cradle,
it is.
that's
Yep.
it. Newton's Cradle. I knew it as a tip of my tongue. I just couldn't spit it out. So we're gonna use the Newton's Cradle. I like to, like I said, it was a $5 item, and I like $5 items. You don't see a lot of those things being used during Facebook Lives.
Right.
Uh, playing game boards or something like that. Sometimes they'll use it. And we also like to use like what else is it? The laser grid. Um, those are okay. But we're gonna do a twist with the next one. I got myself a fog machine to light up that. Um, and see what we can catch with the fog machine. If we can catch a spirit breaking the line with the fog,
I'm looking forward to trying that.
it's gonna be interesting. I gotta get my stuff yet for the fog machine. I haven't quite got the materials to put in there. But those are interesting things. Like I said, it gives me the chance to buy the smaller items and say, hey, let's work with this. My mind works more in this kind of scientific way. And then, having you and Scott have the toys that like take that scientific a little more in depth. to
Right.
see if the spirits can handle what the spirits, what they if they can touch it, make things change color and stuff like that. It's a great deal of different comparisons that can help with things. Um, so I'd say it's a good combination. Yeah, I mean, I think the fog machine's going to add a little more flair to the laser grid, because the laser grid I have is actually a red laser grid, which is really hard to see with the naked eye unless you put it to camera, and then the camera video will catch it. Um, so I'm hoping, that's what I'm hoping, that it will really shine up on the laser grid and really help disperse that a little bit out more, and just to see what we can get out of that. I mean, and it changes different colors. It has 10 different color schemes in it. So whether we, choose a color for the attic or something like that, you know, and stuff like that. So we'll just see how it goes. And, you know, now that I found out it's not going to wreck anything, because I had to ask Bill, because Bill has one at his location he does in the hallway, um, and gets the same effect, with the lasers and stuff. So where we're going next is we're going actually to Granger House. Granger House at May 6th is where we're going to be at. Now, far as Granger House, I probably will not bring the fog machine there, just because I don't know about the rules and how, if they, I don't think they'll allow that there, because it's more of a, um, it's a museum part deal, but I don't know what the rules are in place with that. So, um, I guess I'll have to ask Vicky Nova if I'm allowed to do that or not. Um, but it'd be interesting if I could. Doesn't Nothing hurts nothing. So,
Right.
um, other than that, we got Broadhead Spirits in Spring, which is April 22nd. We got Broadhead in June 3rd, and then we got Canterbury House and Farm on July 22nd, and then from there, that's when things are going to get a little tricky for us for the summer. Far as like getting things going in the museum, and if we get anything else booked for that year, it's going to be interesting. Say this, we're going to try our first overnight at the museum. So we got to get dates on when that's going to be available. Yeah, I mean, once Tom lets me know when an overnight is approved, the team will be the first people to spend the night at the museum. We're just kind of waiting for it to get warmer. And so, what do you think? What do you think goes on after 2 a.m., Nathaniel? Do you think much happens or not much?
I think there's a lot that can happen after 2 o'clock in the morning. All depends on the location. And if you're talking about the museum, just like any jailhouse now, nobody ever stops moving. There's always movement of some type, some way, shape, or form. And you're just bound to catch something if you're in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah, I could understand the jail part of it. If they're just keep moving around and stuff. What do you think about the house side of things? Do you think what would be more active? Do you feel in the early part of the mornings?
Might be the children getting up, getting ready for school, or going outside to play, or if it was on a weekend that they would do something like that. I think that you'd find them awake, moving around.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. It's and then we gotta address the spirit up in the bedroom. I don't know if that has been giving Lori issues anymore lately. Since the last time it was giving her issues, wouldn't allow her to come upstairs. Me and Marcia did our thing, and it let her go upstairs. So hopefully there's no more issues with that. Um, let's see. The other thing we got coming up is the all me, you, and Scott investigation.
Yes.
And once again, we're waiting for warmer temperatures to do that as well. And we get to do some solos and whatnot. Oh, she hasn't tried. Okay. Um, so let's see. Scott was thinking about doing something. Let's see. Was it trying to think May 13th in that region? Because his daughter actually wanted to investigate with us. So possibly after the Granger House, the very next week, he can do an investigation the 13th at the museum. So we can try that and do that, and then from there we'll decide what will work for the three of us to just do one. Um, by then it should be nice and warm out. I mean, it's
I think
supposed to
so.
hit 70 this weekend and almost 80 on Wednesdays, so
Right.
their days are warming up. So who knows? Maybe we'll get it in sooner, but
I'd have to say quite quickly too, with the way the daytimes and the nighttime temps are. They're just kind of really getting up there pretty quickly.
yeah, it's like no in between, like steadily 40s, 50s, or 50s and 60s. It's like right to
Jump.
70s.
Yep.
So, and that's Wisconsin weather. Wisconsin weather does that. It could be 80s and 90s one week, and then the next week could be down to 50s and 40s, and
Right.
you just never know. Um, so have you ever seen a full body apparition?
No, I have not.
So, with that, so if you come across a full body apparition, who would you want it to be, and what would you say, or would you run away?
I probably wouldn't run away. I would probably look at it as it's looking at me, going, "Okay, I see you. You see me. Now what?" If anything, if I did see one, I would probably have to say, hopefully, it would be my father, who died at a young age, at the age of 46,
Oh,
from a
geez, don't
massive
say
heart
that.
attack back in '99.
Don't say that. I turn 46 soon.
And this was 2 days before Father's Day back in 1999,
Oh boy.
and I knew nothing of it until that Sunday.
Wow. That's crazy. Running out the window. Be like the lion, from Wizard of Oz.
Yep.
Scoot down. Woo.
Hmm.
That just comes right up. Um, but yeah, well, that'll be interesting. What do you feel about doppelgangers and mimic spirits?
I think that's a possibility out there, that there's probably another one of me running around somewhere, and hopefully we don't meet up with each other, because that'd be catastrophic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For those of you that don't know about a doppelganger, so basically it's seeing yourself, but you're not supposed to see your own doppelganger, because if you see your own doppelganger, that means that death is coming close to your future. So, um, that's one thing we we don't want to see, but uh, I digress. I wanted to have a little fun with it. I saw myself like, hey, does the other eye work better than mine?
Yeah, right. I think if somebody sees a full body apparition, I think the spirit is just as curious as you are of them as they are of you,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it goes both ways. I think they'd run, and just like they always do, they run and they try to hide, and you'd probably do the same thing, because
Yeah.
you don't know exactly what to say at that exact moment. You're like, okay, I see it now. What do I do?
Right.
And then the
Right.
same thing with them. It's like, okay, they keep peeking around like corners, going, okay, I see this person. What is their intent? Do they want to harm me? Do they do whatever? And I think that's a lot of reasons why they just run so fast.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you on that one. It's a trial. I mean, it. Seeing hearing a doppelganger now is interesting on Facebook. I have the opportunity to catch one on Facebook once a few years ago, and once you hear one, you'll never forget that. That's a pretty unique experience. But so what do you think of teen styles? Now, how many different teen styles have you seen, and is there one that really pops out at you and stands in your mind like, yeah, it's okay, or I want to see more of it. I want to see what else they do. How does that compare to how we do things? What do you think about that?
I think like you were talking about like Scott and I doing the tech part work and then you doing like the low grade stuff. I think if you send people that are in the high tech spots around first and then you go follow behind with the smaller stuff, I kind of like that idea.
Okay, that makes sense. Ah, yeah, jump out the window. Yeah, I know. And that's something we can try because there is no right way or wrong way of investigating. I feel the only thing so here's the big question. Okay, in certain locations, okay, provoking is a big issue. All right, now like we all know how we feel, how Augusta gets, and we've heard what the spirit does upstairs towards women as well. How I gotta that's all right. And like I said, provoking. What do you think? What how do you feel about it? Should we do it? Should we not do it? Is there a time and a place to provoke? Um, what are your thoughts on
I
that?
believe there is a time and a place to provoke. I believe they are still humans, just in a different form. Um, Talk to them like you would want to be talked to.
Right,
I mean, like I said, I mean, they're just as curious as you are of them as they are of you. So why would you yell at one? You're only going to make it that much like scared and not want to show itself.
right, right. Uh, what would you think would be a good time to do it? Would you think like a jail, like acting like as if you're a guard going down with your stick and rattling the cages? Do you think that would be appropriate, or do you think that'd be too harsh?
I would have to say it all depends on, I guess, what inmates were in that specific part of the prison or the jail. I mean, if you're talking about like lower sentenced people, that I wouldn't, I think that'd be too harsh. I
Okay,
think for inmates that were there for like committing like murder type, I think that would be all right because they have nothing to lose really. I
yeah,
mean, they're stuck in the cell. You kind of get them riled up, even though they're already riled up already. I'd
hmm,
say a little bit you could try doing that just to see what would pop out and happen at that time.
right, right. And I agree with that. I really do. And far as like screaming at him and stuff like that. Well, listen, we're not Zach Baggins, okay?
God no.
And that's the way he likes to run his investigations. That he likes to pour on a lot of stuff onto himself,
Right?
but also he likes to throw in some of his people in the gauntlet first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's something I don't care to do, because they're already a safety high measure when we go to these locations because we don't know what to expect.
Right?
Um, and Edinburgh is a good example if you're still on. That is a location that you have to have your eyes in the back of your head, walk around that location because you have no clue what's going to happen. Um, you can easily get scratched and not know it until you start burning. It
Right?
goes through clothes. I mean, we had a person there. She had a shirt and a sweatshirt on, and she still got scratched down the middle of her back. How does that happen? You know?
I think even if you had like an Eskimo suit on and you were layered in like 50 layers, if a spirit wants to scratch you, they are going to find a way, no matter how many layers you have on, to get to your skin and scratch you.
Right. Right. Now, speaking of scratches, okay, so do you feel that demons are in play when they are scratching you, or you think it's just a spirit to get your attention?
I think it's just a spirit getting your attention. I think also depends on the depth of the scratch
Mhm.
determines to me if it's something that is trying to get your attention or if it's trying to harm you.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, if it's a just a light scratch, that's someone that's trying to get your attention. But I think if it draws blood in a 4 to 5 inch scratch, that's something that potentially is out there to harm you.
Right. And would you call that a demonic spirit, or would you call that just a really pissed off spirit and nothing to do with demons and stuff like
I
that?
think it'd just be a totally pissed off spirit that just does not want to get bothered.
Yeah.
Um, what do living humans do when they get upset and they want to be left alone? They lash out.
Right.
Same as a spirit. If they are getting pushed to the limits and they want to say, "Hey, enough's enough," they're going to tag you.
Mhm.
I mean, just like if you had a cat and you're roughhousing around with them and they tag you a good one, okay, it's time to quit because you just pissed off the cat.
Right. Right. That's a good analogy. I like that because it's happened to me plenty of times, let me tell you.
Oh yeah, me too. But if they sit there and they play scratch you and it doesn't really get into your skin, they're just playing around. They're happy, content until they want to draw blood. Then they're upset.
Right. Right. And what do you think about the demonic aspect of things? Do you think that's gone too far? Do you believe that there's no demons whatsoever out there in other worlds?
I believe there is demons. Um, just I think coming upon one or approaching one or getting one approached on you is like far in between each other.
Mhm.
I think it doesn't happen as often as people say it does.
Right. I agree. I think it's like anywhere from 2 to 3% if you even catch
Correct.
one in your lifetime. It's,
Right.
I think they play off it way too much on TV, and make everybody feel that this is such a bad thing that we do, or we're dealing with demonic and all that stuff. And, and at times it's like, you know, uh, my mom has asked me, is like, "Hey, how you doing?
Virgil.
Welcome to the show." Um, and my mom has asked me, it's like, "God, what are you guys doing? Are you doing this? Is this like you dealing with Satan and all this stuff?" Like, no, we're not doing anything dealing with Satan or anything with demons and stuff like that. That the misconception of the shows compared to what we do, uh, you know, as a group and team are two different things.
Right.
Um, and if anyone thinks that that's what we're looking for, no, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking going to the place to see if we can get spirits to cooperate with our gadgets and our minds and thinking, and it's like playing Clue, putting pieces of clues together to come up with a storyline.
Correct.
That's what we do. We don't do anything like that. Now, there are some people that like to use black mirrors. There's some people that like to use Ouija boards and stuff like that. What are your opinions and feelings on those two items?
I've never played with a spirit board before. um, I don't know. I have mixed thoughts on that. It can you use it. They can be good for some reasons, and other times they could be bad. You really don't know who you come in contact with while you're using it.
Mhm.
Just like it could be if you're trying to contact a little kid, that little kid may not be the little kid you're connecting with. It could be something more malevolent, like a pissed off spirit that doesn't want to be talked to at that time.
Right, right. I hear you because, like I said, you just don't know what it is what you're talking to. There
Right.
are clues, and that's where the clues come into the storyline when you ask questions.
Right.
That's only when I think you can dictate as to what spirit you're actually talking to,
Exactly.
you know. Um, and you know, I probably would never use a Ouija board during an investigation, honestly. Now Black Mirrors is a little different because the thought is that you're looking in this mirror, you're looking at yourself and seeing anything that's different in that mirror that jumps out at you if you're seeing a spirit in the background, or if your face gets kind of disfigured or arranged or whatever.
Right.
So what do you think about that process? Do you think that's logical, or do you think that's something that's not risky but very interesting?
I think it's very interesting and intriguing.
Hmm.
I think a lot of it has to do with your mind playing tricks on itself. I think if you sit there and you stare at the mirror wishing for something to happen, it's going to happen.
Right.
That's just I think your mind just playing tricks on you if something does happen. Unless it has been known where, hey, this spirit does go through mirrors or comes across on mirrors.
Hmm.
That's what I think.
Yes, pardon me. I would like to try Black Mirror once. I haven't yet. We were supposed to actually get up one in the museum. I don't know if Thomas is still in chat or not, but he did end that program with the Black Mirrors and stuff. Yeah, Virgil, Black Mirrors are very interesting stuff. If you haven't looked that up, I definitely watched some of the videos that are out there about Black Mirrors. So, so now we come into like okay, so have you seen watch these shows? They have different colors in the camera, like the full spectrum gives off all these different colors.
Right.
Do you feel that having different colors in the room makes it easier to try and spot spirit, or do you think is that something that will attract a spirit more? Because honestly, I'm kind of having trouble uh with the full spectrum lighting deal, because I just don't know if that's going to draw more spirit in or if it drives spirit away. What do you think?
Uh, I don't think there is really that big of a thing whether it attracts them or if it like makes them stay away. I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think it's up to your investigation prior to using that. I think dictates whether or not they want to be seen or not.
Do you think it'd be easier to catch them that way
I think
in
it'd be
film?
easier to catch them that way.
Okay, maybe we'll try that. With the Phasm cam I have, it has multiple different colors. Uh, Phasm cam and Phasm light, sorry, together. Um,
Right.
ah, that's not good. Sorry to hear that, Virgil. Um, let's see. So we do have a second medium on our team. So how do you feel about having second mediums on our team? And far as like, do you like having an extra person that can sit there and give you a conversation when we're doing SS method or something like that, and or they can lead you through a location? Because me personally, I like having second mediums on the team because I think they can lead you to some areas that you may not know about and have a new actually spot to investigate, or say, hey, this is maybe not a good spot or time for you to be in this room. What do you feel about second mediums?
I think they're a very good tool to use if you have them, or if you have someone that's willing to come join your group for an investigation. I think it's a good thing to have because, like you said, they can reach different parts of an investigation that you can't because you don't have their abilities to get to where you want to get to.
Right, right. And I fully agree with that. I think it's a very useful tool to have. And it's not extra baggage that you got to carry
Right,
unless they pass out or they have gone channel too far that you have to get them outside and drown themselves. Then there's extra baggage right there. But
right.
so to speak. But yeah, I think so too. Very highly useful and glad that we have one on our team that can reach in certain different areas that we can't reach, like you said. So,
Right.
um, let's see what else. Do you have a bucket list?
At this time, I don't. Until I start getting into more investigations and seeing what is actually out there in different states, then I'll be able to come up with a bucket list saying, "Hey, I want to go here or I want to go there," and try it that way.
Yeah, uh, definitely. Absolutely,
Sure.
absolutely. Um, well, I would highly suggest probably watching Destination Fear because that's one of the ones I watch. A lot of times when I watch uh, ghost hunting shows, it's mainly for the locations. Um, just to say, hey, maybe highlight this one or highlight that one, or sometimes they're a little far. Yes,
Right.
sometimes they might be a little really expensive. Where for us, small team, something we have to save up for to do like the very next year. Like, hey, this is our one big case that we'll go to, and then the other ones will be small because it fits in with the budget type
Right.
deal. So,
I agree.
mm-hmm. Far as like let's see, like the Boyd House. Okay, that's one that I think I've mentioned to you before in the past.
Yes.
So Boyd House is in Minnesota. And I don't think that's too far of reach. It's right now for the team we have. I think it's right at the right length. Until we're available to go to like Melver Manor, uh, Villisca Expert House. Those are 8.5 hour trips.
Right.
You know, and as of right now, we gotta let's gotta get into the groove of traveling that far, and breaking them in to do that. So that's the one that we got to work on that stuff later in the future. Uh, Speaking of the future, what do you see going forward to the future for the team?
I see it as uh, with the people that we have, the great potential that we could actually take this as far as we want to go with it. I mean, I think once we start going around and we do investigations, I think people will see us, recognize, and say, "Hey, we want this team here because of the way they investigate. I like their we like their techniques and the way they do things. Let's invite them over here and
Absolutely.
see where that goes."
Yeah. I mean, uh, you know, recognition is one thing, but just overall, I think, like you said, show what we do, show what respect we give to the location, to the people that run a location. That way, they know that hey, we're not going to be jerks. We respect your location. Sometimes some people say, hey, okay, we get this location. All right, you're going to be where, and that's where you're going to be. That's good. Don't move. Like
Right,
be stiff and have like a stick up your ass. And I just can't run an investigation like that. I mean, there's time and a place to be serious, but also sometimes the best investigation we get is when we're just joking around, kidding around,
right.
you know. Um, so
I mean, even that's like some of the ones that I've watched. Every now and then you'll get one that has like a prankster in
mhm,
the spirit world. That's all they do is they like playing pranks and tricks on people because they think it's funny. So if they think it's funny and they want to have fun, we should do the same thing.
yeah. I mean, and I think it's good to have a little humor and comedy while you're investigating because you just can't be serious all the time because I
Right.
think that drains a person being so serious. You lose focus.
I think it takes more energy out of someone to be serious than it does to joke around.
Mhm.
Joking around is easy. It comes natural. But then when you don't try to sit there and you be like stern and serious, I mean, that takes a lot of concentration, a lot of tense muscles to make yourself a certain way.
Right.
And our bodies aren't made like that.
No.
That's how we break down faster than anything.
I mean, a good example is that, I was at Broadhead and Kat was in the basement in the janitor spot. And, and was it Ethan and Heidi? I think it was also down there. And we were just joking around. And a spirit would say, "Hey, are you listening to me?" I mean, absolutely. You're right, Ron. And,
Absolutely.
exactly. Exactly. And it's like the obvious that we had, like, the app, the Spirit Talker. It's like, "Hey, are you listening to me? Are you paying attention to me?"
Right.
I was like, "Oh, yes. Yes, we are. We're just, having casual conversation because, hey, spirits wanna have conversation. They wanna have fun too sometimes. Who knows who would knock the hat off my head once just to have fun, you know?"
Right.
Um, and those are memories to laugh. If you catch it on videotape, that's even more, appealing
It is.
because you got evidence right there as the spirit's trying to have fun with you.
Right.
So, uh, yeah, absolutely. Um, so one last question for you. Actually, I have a few more, so we'll backtrack that. What do you feel about exorcisms? Do you think that they happen a lot? And if you were in a situation like, let's say, Scott gets possessed, and like, oh crap, what do we do? He needs to be exercised. Do you think you'll be able to handle doing one while we're on investigation, or you like, oh, like, no, there's no way I can be able to do this? What do you think about that?
I think I could go through an exorcism.
Try and
Um,
perform it
I would
because
try
I
to.
know I couldn't.
I would
I
try.
watched one.
Um, I mean, it can't hurt any worse if you try. I mean, the only thing you do is really piss off what's ever in Scott. And once you come to that realization, it's like, okay, I'm just pissing this thing off even more. Let's take a step back and regroup and see what other angles we can come at it with.
Right. Ron is right. It's a cleansing.
Scott's game.
he's game. um, well, I mean, could you just sit there and like say, you know, go observe one and see what it's like before you even think about like, hey, maybe I could do this, perform this, and say, okay, this guy needs an exorcism. But it takes a while. It does take a while to determine if someone really needs an exorcism.
It does.
You can't really get a priest right away on the scene because that just doesn't happen.
Right.
Um, but in fact, I've never really seen a priest ghost hunter. Have you?
That I have not.
That would be interesting if you see that on TV. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, you're right on that one. You're right. Sometimes that question doesn't come over very good.
Right.
So, um, so what is the one object in the world you would never, never want to be haunted?
My bed. That is my second favorite besides the couch.
That's actually has made the list. So you have made the list with the bed. So what on the flip side, what is one thing in the world that you would want to be haunted?
Mm.
I want my car to be haunted. Just be like Kit.
I think I would have to agree on that one. My vehicle as well.
That's like, take me to this location. I don't want to drive.
Exactly. Sit back and relax. Here, you take over.
I mean, we got those autonomous cars, but those aren't yeah, right, Jamie Lynn? Um those autonomous cars are out there, but they're not quite that 100% safe yet.
No, they're not.
even though how bad I want one, but they're so damn pricey,
Well, you can even go, I think, even before Kit, you can go with Herbie.
Yeah, Herbie, right? Absolutely.
Good one. Yeah, you'd get Herbie. That's what Ron just said.
Yep. Yep, Herbie. I'll take it. A little Volkswagen Beetle.
I think I would probably
Give me
take
extra protection though.
Herbie over Kit, I think.
Really?
Just for a while, yep.
I don't know. I want to be able to turbo boost. Get
Yeah,
over
maybe,
that semi.
right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Right. Uh, for Herbie over Christine.
Yes.
I don't know. I like Christine though. Christine looks pretty sharp when it's all nice and clean.
It is. It does.
I mean, I would if I could, I would love to have a Studebaker. Those are my favorite old cars. Favorite of all time. So
I really don't have one. I think they were pretty much back then. They were all pretty cool.
yeah, they were. Yep. Stingrays. Yep. I love the Stingrays too. They're a pretty neat looking vehicle. So in diesel, what's that one? I don't know if yeah.
All right.
Right. um let's see. So what's the one object in the world you would not want to hold?
I think I'm game for just about anything.
You know,
I'll hold anything once.
that surprised that doesn't surprise me because there's a lot of people that feel the exact same way. You only live once, you might as well hold whatever you can hold. And then
Right.
there's some that like, well, anything deals with like natural disaster, like the Twin Towers, anything like pieces off of that, or uh the Holocaust, stuff that is from those tragedies.
Right.
People is like, I would not want to hold something like that because I don't want the energy to be reached from that.
I think it's if you hold something, especially from that era, your your thought process saying, okay, this was here as you're holding it. This is what happened with it. Yeah, it probably would change your mindset a whole lot by doing that.
No, creepy doll. Yeah, you're right. Annabelle is kind of one of those things I would never want to hold.
I'll hold her.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing? She's gonna come alive and I just shove her back in the box.
Oh, yeah. True. I wouldn't want to hold that either. Yeah. I get you on that one.
I would.
Yeah. So, it's that time that it's we have reached over an hour. Wow, this went fast.
Yeah, it did.
Faster than I thought it would. She'll get you back later. So, like I said, this has been a fantastic interview. Like I said, thank you for all those of you in the comments. I greatly appreciate you joining us on a Friday night. Uh, baby doll, yeah. Um, and so with this interview, I always like to end it with what's a special message that you want to leave to the audience today that say, hey, I heard this off of this one show. It's just really sticking in my mind, and this is where I heard from. So, what kind of message you want to send to the folks?
You know, ever since you brought me onto the team, I think personally, I'm very passionate about what you're actually allowing me to do with your team and with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think if a lot more people would get into it, I think that'd be for the right reasons, mind you. I think everybody would be happier.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and is it, what do you think would be like a good cutoff for a team? Like I think six would be a perfect cutoff for having that many people on a team. What do you feel about things that are, or teams that are like 10, 15 people and above?
I would say maybe the cutoff would be 8, depending on what each individual can bring to that team.
Okay.
If I mean, you could have like Scott and I be the tech, you be like the leader, Michelle being the psychic medium. We could add another one of those to the team just in case if she can't make it, the other one can. Type thing. Always to have like a backup person just in case. Say, hey, this person can't make it. Are you able to make it so that we can kind of keep a standard like 6, 7 people at all times?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what Ron is saying. Seven would be a perfect number. And who knows? I mean, like I said, the more people you have on the team, the more drama is out there. And
Right.
paradrama is what I stay away from. I don't care for it. Even though if, and this is how just parabullying out there, how people feel about, I don't know how people feel about parabullying, but it is out there.
It is.
They trash other teams and stuff like that. That's something that I hope none of us on the team would do to others, because that's not a right of good conduct to do. Even though you may not agree or like some of the people that are out there, but taking it to Facebook and saying something about that team is taking it too far, because that's where the paradrama starts coming into play.
Right.
And I think that like I said, I don't care for the drama. A lot of people don't care for the drama. And for those of you who got EVPs and want to showcase your EVPs, or hey, this might be a spirit, but who knows? It may be an orb. A lot of times we say orbs are 99% dust, you know? And I think that anyway, I think that's what it is. I think that people should just show what they want to show, and not get ridiculed for it, you know? Um, and well, and that's the thing is I don't understand that. It's like we're all trying to help each other,
Right.
you know? We're all searching for the same thing, no matter what it is. You got ideas, present your ideas. What works for you may not work for me. What works for me may not work for you. But if it works for the both of us,
Well,
that's a
then it's a
win-win,
win-win.
right? And no greater feat of not advancing the paranormal field, because that's what we want to do. We want to advance the paranormal field to these different locations
Right.
and show that, hey, this does happen. This is
I
proof.
think if there's drama in a group, it should stay more or less in the group or in house. It shouldn't be put elsewhere because it's nobody else's business but at that specific point in time with your group.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's just
I mean,
leave it at that.
that's like a lot of these people putting things on Facebook that, oh, this and this person did this and this and this. Okay, well, then you're being a Karen yourself, more or less, because you're complaining and bitching just like a Karen would
Mm-hmm.
about something. Well, just if you don't like it, then okay, it's your opinion. Everyone's
Right.
entitled to have the opinion. It's just what you deal with that affects everybody else.
Yeah. And that's, what Jamie Lynn is saying here. And I agree with that. Absolutely.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. And some people do want to be the alpha. And as you were saying before, being like leader of the team. I don't consider one person being leader of the team. we're all leaders of the
Right.
team because we all represent the team. We all make up the team. So, you know, um, I own the name, but as a group, we're all leaders. And that's the way I see it because no one should be picked out as like, oh, he's team leader and, she's team leader. And, no, we're all team leaders.
Right.
It's just we bring a different aspect to the team. We work as a team. And that's the way I would love to be presented to other people. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So that's kind of how where I feel about things, and your message is good. I love the message that you put out. Like I said, this is, you know, it's easy when you get people like yourself and Scott and Michelle and Lori. It's easy people to talk to, and thank you, Jamie.
Thanks, Jamie.
It's when you got that way of talking to people, and it's easy to converse about things. And there's sometimes I may not communicate very well, you know, but that happens, and if somebody else picks
And it's gonna happen too. It's just something that everyone's got to say, hey, okay, you don't know exactly what you went through during the day, and now it's time to investigate, and it may carry over from work day to investigation time. Just give space. Just
right.
or ask a question. Say, hey, I see something's wrong. Do you want to talk about it? And if you come back and say no, okay, well then we'll just leave it at that. And if you're wanting to talk, I'm here to listen.
Yeah. And the thing is too is like when you go on an investigation, you always got to be in the best moods to do it because if you're
Right.
going to be in a crappy mood, like work was horrible, it put me in a bad mood for the rest of the day. There's no point in me going on an investigation
Right.
because that's going to bring down the team. It's going to bring down the location. Nobody's going to get anything. And that's the last thing I want. It's like we pay, our money to go on these investigations. I want us to get stuff, you
Yeah,
know?
correct.
So, and that's what I look at it as if you're going to go, be in a good mood
Right.
because that helps the location. That helps the overall morale,
It
you
does.
know, and, with Bill's location at Broadhead, that's a very, very, very big part of that place is being in a good mood.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, I cannot stress enough about that. Yep, absolutely.
Very true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And because he said it so many times, like, this guy's in a crappy mood. He ain't gonna get shit,
Yep.
you know? And it's like he's like, I guess he's gonna waste his money tonight.
Exactly.
So, but other than that, like I said, this has been a fantastic interview. Definitely going to have you on in the future to talk about more investigations. As we have our investigations, we'll have everybody on. We'll discuss it, talk about it, and like I said, if someone wants to know your style of researching, don't hold back. Hit Nathaniel up. He'll give you some pointers on how to research and what do you do, and stuff like that. And it would help a lot of other researchers out there that are just new into the game. So,
Right.
um, so with that, thank you all for joining us tonight. And remember, you're watching the Paranormal Brew and BB3 TV Network. Also, the MGS Paranormal on YouTube and MGS Paranormal on Facebook, YouTube, and BB3 TV on YouTube. Paranormal Brew on YouTube. Sorry, there's a lot of outlets I have here. And Darren Buss on Twitch. Yep,
Yep.
absolutely. I thank you all for joining us tonight. Absolutely. We'll see
Absolutely
you
will.
soon. We'll see you soon in Broadhead. And thanks, Matt. Thank you.
Thanks.
And you all have a great weekend. Have a fantastic Easter. And with that, I have to get my fingers right. This way, over here. This is Nathaniel. I'm Darren. And you've been watching the Paranormal Question today. I bid you adieu. So long, everybody.
So long.